Something unusual is happening in the silver community this week. Multiple Reddit threads, multiple buyers, and serious allegations. Some are claiming they received fake Johnson Matthey silver bars. Others are alleging that during the deep silver correction, after we hit 120, their low-priced orders were canceled and then even relisted at higher prices. Now, I need to say this clearly. I do not personally have proof that Apmex sold fake silver. I do not have a fake bar in my possession, but what we are seeing is a serious reputation event unfolding in real time. And in the bullion world, trust is everything. Apmex, American Precious Metals Exchange. It is one of the largest online bullion dealers in the United States. They've been around for decades. Launched in 2020, they're known for a wide inventory, professional package, but I'll have something to say about that later on, and historically higher premiums than all their competitors. Why higher premiums? Because people believed they were paying for security and reliability. When you charge a premium for trust, you are selling trust. These allegations, they center around the 1 ounce Johnson Matthey 0.999 fine silver bars. Johnson Matthey is a historic refiner. Many older JM bars, they vary in style. Some have serial numbers and some do not. Here's what's happening, and I'm seeing it in Silverbugs subreddit. You have buyers posting acid test results claiming the bars are fake. That image there on the right is the actual image from one of those posts. These photos are circulating. The comment sections, they're exploding. And just to give you a heads up, acid test is not the only way of verifying bars. There's also XRF analysis, density testing, precise weight verification, and even magnetic response tests. But as of right now, what we have are allegations and multiple community reports. So this is not an independent lab statement. And I do know for one of those posts, the poster reached out to Apmex 3 consecutive days, and they finally got a response that Apmex will be accepting the bar back for a full refund. Silver recently experienced a sharp move higher in the beginning of 2026, topping out in late January at about $120 an ounce, followed by a very significant correction. Some Apmex buyers claim they placed large orders near these lows. They've reported on the Silverbugs subreddit shipping delays, cancellations, and then even relisting those same products at higher prices. Again, these are allegations from the customers. But here's where this becomes important. Bullion dealers operate on tight margins and hedging models. In volatile markets, inventory mismatches can happen, hedging errors can happen, but terms of service often allow cancellations. But when customers feel price movements influence fulfillment, that's when trust starts to fracture. Even if every other silver bar turns out to be real, the reputation shock is already happening. Reddit is exploding. You got to understand, younger stackers live online and information spreads instantly. The uncomfortable truth is this: a dealer that charges higher premiums because of trust cannot afford a trust event. 3 possibilities exist. Apmex issues a clear public statement and tests these bars independently. Refunds are processed and the story dies down. one refund, which has happened for one of the accusers on silver bugs. And then also, if the silence continues and they don't issue a public statement, you're going to have competitors gain ground. Because in markets, perception moves faster than resolution. If retail stackers start questioning these major dealers like Apmex, you're going to see premium compression, more price competition, greater demand for independent testing, and possibly, and I'm already seeing this, a shift towards smaller dealers and even peer to peer transactions. Trust is the invisible asset on a bullion dealer's balance sheet. And when that asset takes a hit, the market notices. I am not here to attack anyone. I'm here to analyze risk. If you're stacking, test your metals. If you're buying, understand the dealer's terms. If you're a dealer, understand that in the Reddit age, silence is not neutral, it's interpreted. We'll see how this unfolds. Since I've been buying from Apmex going back to over a decade ago, I never had any issues in terms of that I got a fake. Never. Everything I've gotten was genuine. What I have had issues with them is Libertad sets that they were releasing for many years, and a couple of those years, the set you're seeing on the screen, they're selling the combination of the 1 ounce proof and the 1 ounce reverse proof for that year. And each of the coins was in a capsule and it came in a casing just like that. And the issue I was having is they were not being secured correctly. Basically, when you close up that case, those coins can shake and come loose if you don't put some type of foam protector and tape it completely up. Those coins can come loose, and that happened for me 2 consecutive years. And I know for a fact I did get refunds, but this is where what I get tripped up with and what bothers me. I I got my refund. I shipped it to them. I got my refund, and the item was quote unquote out of stock. When they got back the product, they relisted it and not letting anybody know of the potential defect. The coins came loose, and at least one of them in both occasions, you could tell there was issues with the coin itself. It was not going to grade a 70 if you wanted to send this into NGC and get graded. You were not going to get a 70. And so the fact that there was no that line of sight, no clarity on that bothered me a bit. Libertad aficionados, today's featured coin is the 1991 1 ounce silver Libertad. This is another one of those 10,000 mintage years. So this is the fourth out of 5 consecutive years, beginning in 1988, where each of those years 1 ounce silver proofs was 10,000 mintage. As I mentioned, that 88 and 89 command the highest market prices given their scarcity. Even though the alleged mintage was 10,000, their market availability is a lot less compared to the 90, the 91, and the 92. Let's talk about sold comps for the 91 proof. In proof 69, the second highest grade, I was able to pull up eBay comps. There was only 2 comps between, and the one was NGC, the other one was PCGS. And the NGC one was $420 in PF69. The PCGS one went for $389. And then in what I showed, the grade 70, these are very low population numbers on these. There's about 35 of them. As I haven't seen a sold comp in a long time, but these are easily go for over 1,000. Just to highlight in terms of scarcity, graded scarcity, that is, going from 1988 thus far to 1991. Looking back at 88 on NGC, there was 99 of them graded, total graded, with 12 of them in PF70, the highest grade. That missing feathers underarm variety that comps for substantially higher, there's only 11 of those graded at NGC. If we move on to 89, lot of strange designations you're seeing here, PFCA and PFUC. CA stands for Cameo and UC Ultra Cameo. I'm not sure what's going on with these two Cameo graded. Cameo is just saying that the distinction between the raised surface and the mirrored finish, that it's not that substantial. But if you look at all of these Libertad proofs, they all look like Ultra Cameos. So I'm not sure what went on. Maybe this was an error in judgment by NGC, but there should really be no cameos. They're all Ultra Cameos. So 89, we have 18 Ultra Cameos, and that's where the submitter did not pay for Variety Plus to distinguish between without dot. If you remember, one of the varieties, the most common variety, has no dot before the 999 finest, and then the rare one has the dot before the 3 9s. And so there was 18 graded that did not have the variety designation. The without dot, you basically have just over 150 of those, and the with dot just under 50. So essentially a 3-to-1 ratio out there based on submitted coins for grading in terms of the scarcity of the with dot. About just a third of them out there. A fourth, that is. I'm sorry. 1990, there's a whole lot of 1990 graded, 645 of them at NGC, 21 in the top grade, 70. And now we are in the 1991, and there's 424 of these total graded at NGC, with 41 of them in the top grade, 70. Next video, we will talk about the 92. It does seem like it's such a much scarcer one because there's only 142 of them graded at NGC. But what is interesting, if you pull up 1992 proofs on the PCGS side, that one is much more abundant compared to, say, the 1990 and the 91. They have 607 graded for the 1992 versus 299 graded for the 1991 and 245 graded for the 1990. So that just gives you a bit of an idea of how the numbers exist in terms of the graded population. Looking at that kind of like as a proxy for, although Banco de Mexico says there's 10,000 mintage for all of them, but really how many have been submitted for grading? That really gives us a fairer assessment of how rare each of these years is.